Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Blonde. And this movie is directed by Andrew Dominic, and he's the same director as Killing Them Softly, which is the only movie I've seen from him that he's directed. And this movie stars Ana de Armas, and it came out in 2022, and it's a Netflix movie. So if you want to watch it, that's how you have to watch it. It's on Netflix. And I heard this movie was pretty polarizing when it came out. I didn't get a chance to see it when it came out. I think I just avoided it because I just wasn't interested. And then I decided, you know what? Now's the time to watch it. I'll check it out. And wow, was this movie very, very bad. Like, probably not the worst movie I've ever seen, but it was trying really hard to be like an art film. And it just completely failed. And there were some things that I did like about it. There were some interesting shots throughout the film, and it's not boring to look at, like in terms of the cinematography. Like, there are some parts about it visually that are memorable, and other parts that are memorable because they're like really, really crazy. We'll get to that later. And another thing that I kind of liked was the music. It was, at the very least, different from what I'm used to. It wasn't cliched, cookie cutter, oh, sad music or anything like that. It was a bit different, and I give the movie credit for that. And Ana de Armas, she looks the part, and she's good at crying, but I didn't buy her as Marilyn Monroe, and throughout the entire film, she just sounded Spanish, and I know that's where she's from. And I wouldn't have this problem if the movie wasn't focused on Marilyn Monroe as the main character. Like, if she was playing a different character altogether, and this movie wasn't based on a true story at all, then, or at least focusing on a real person and exploring what you could with this person and everything that they did in their life. Because that's really what the movie is. Like, if you just focused on a completely new character that was completely fictionalized, then I could forgive it. But unfortunately, that's not the case here. There's some really choppy editing in this movie at points. Some of it's kind of weird, and it's really trying to be an art film at times. And while I was watching the movie, I was like, this doesn't feel like it fits. It doesn't feel purposeful. Like, this isn't Eraserhead. Like, what are you trying to do here? And this movie really just goes all out, and it's 2 hours and 45 minutes long, and that runtime is not justified in the slightest. Like, there's nothing really we gain from that runtime, and also, despite this movie being really, really long, I don't feel as though I learned much about any of the characters, and I can't really blame a lot of the actors because they don't really have a character to play. They just are there and they have dialogue, but they don't really have a character to play. They don't have anything interesting that they can work with to, like, help me believe that what I am seeing is a character, not just the writer, just either arguing with himself or thinking that he's writing more characters in the film. And another thing that bugged me about this movie was the aspect ratio when it kept changing. And this movie consistently changes from being in color to being in black and white. And when it does that, it usually changes the aspect ratio. And that was distracting. If changing from color to black and white wasn't distracting already. Like, sure, you can do something with that depending on, like, what perspective we're following, or, like, we're supposed to be feeling a certain emotion, or, like, the different aspect ratios are supposed to give a different focus to something else. And it just straight up didn't work for me. I just felt distracted throughout the entire film. The structure of this movie is, like, all over the place, and the movie is kind of slow paced, and I get it. It's trying to make you feel as though each scene has time to breathe, but man, do they not, like, develop things properly or make them interesting, because things just seem to happen, and there's no rhyme or reason as to why they're happening in the way that they are. And I wouldn't necessarily call this movie repetitive, but what I'm constantly being shown is just, I don't even know the right words to describe it. It's just out there and unique, I guess. That's the most positive word I can think of to describe it, but it's still not worth it. And just by watching the movie, I could guess that it was trying to be a rise and fall type story, and you really don't feel any of that. It just kind of happens, and then it just focuses on different things and all of Marilyn Monroe's different marriages, and yeah, not the most interesting approach to any of these things. The only entertaining parts of this movie for me is when it's laughably bad, and luckily that's about half of the movie. And I was having a blast with that half, and the other half was kind of putting me to sleep. And one thing that was kind of weird about this movie is that half of the time Marilyn Monroe is naked or half naked, and I'm just thinking to myself, why? Like, most of the time, there's no point to it. And it's just like, what are you doing here? And also, another thing that was distracting for me, although I know that Marilyn Monroe's name is actually in this movie before Marilyn Monroe is like, that's her stage name. Before she is called that, everyone just calls her Norma Jean. And the amount of times that name is said, especially in the first half, is quite honestly just the most crazy thing ever. Like, they say it like 100 times. And our main character, just because I don't know what to call her, Marilyn Monroe or Norma Jean or whatever you want to call her, she also calls a lot of men characters in this movie daddy for some reason. I don't know why. They don't really develop on that. But the reason why I bring this up is if you played a drinking game where a character says, Norma Jean, daddy, you'd probably die halfway through. And I'm not going to say add in whenever you see a character naked in a different scene, because if you did that, you'd for sure be dead. But yeah, lots of that going on, and I don't understand why they did that. All in all, Blonde is kind of a failure, not very good. It's entertaining enough to watch as a funny bad movie. It's great to watch if you like the really weird stuff in like a David Lynch movie, if it had no purpose or point to it. And yeah, if you like that kind of stuff just for no reason, then I guess this is the movie for you. But anyone else, I would say skip it. Even if you're a fan of Marilyn Monroe, it doesn't really do the character justice. And throughout the entire story, I was never satisfied with anything. I didn't feel like I was experiencing anything that added to the film in a positive way. It was just all a big mess, and yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about it. So with all that being said, I'm going to give Blonde a 3 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of Blonde, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Autonomy of a Fall, if I said that correctly. I keep wanting to say Anonymy, but I'm pretty sure it's Autonomy. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.